Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
An hour of crime this hour. We start off with an episode of The Lives of Harry Lime starring Orson Welles, the spin-off, actually the prequel to the motion picture The Third Man. This episode, entitled Man a Mystery, was originally broadcast April 11th, 1952.
Presenting Orson Welles as The Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character, originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
One late afternoon a couple of years ago, a plane was sighted about 70 miles out of the Orly airport in Paris. It was a private plane of medium size, and nobody was in it. Nobody at all. The plane, keeping its course steadily toward Paris, was flying itself. Why was it empty? Who had been flying it? And why and in what circumstances had they left it? Well, thereby hangs the tale.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the third man, in today's story, Man of Mystery.
Monsieur Gregory Arkadin, calling Monsieur Harry Lime.
Yes, Harry Lime speaking.
One moment, please.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, this is Gregory Arkadin.
Yes?
I am at the Hotel de Cap in Antibes. Come and see me tonight. I have a job.
Well, I'm in Vienna. Well, there isn't a plane out of here until Saturday.
I am sending you mine.
Your what?
My private plane. This is Arkadian speaking.
Oh?
Gregory Arkadin. You know who that is?
Yes, I think so.
You think you know who is Gregory Arkadin? My friend, that is wonderful answer. More wonderful than you guess. I'll see you soon, Mr. Lime, yes? After dinner tonight.
Hello? 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 Oh, yeah. And sure enough, just as the great Mr. Arkadin had willed it, there I was on that famous plane of his. And promptly after dinner, there I was at the Hotel de Cap, which is in Antibes, which is in the south of France. Science is wonderful, and so is money.
You're waiting to see my father.
Was your father Gregory Arkadin?
Yes.
Well, that's who I'm waiting for.
Mr. Lime, I am completely in my father's confidence. We are extremely close. He tells me everything, but he hasn't said a word about you. What is your business?
Oh, I dabble, Miss Arkadin. I dabble in a variety of sordid things.
I see. If you sit down, I'll tell my father you're waiting.
I sat down like a good little boy on the edge of the chair. I lit a cigarette and crossed my legs and tried not to look impressed about the fact that I was going to meet Gregory Arkadin. But it wasn't any use. I wasn't even fooling myself.
Here he is, Father.
Go in and amuse our guest, Raina. You are Mr. Lime, aren't you?
Yes, that's right.
I've heard many things about you, Mr. Lime.
I've heard many things about you, Mr. Arkadin.
What exactly have you heard about me? Go on, I have my reasons for asking.
Well, everybody knows you're one of the richest men in Europe, Mr. Arkadin. You're supposed to have big interests all the way from Denmark to the Belgian Congo, but you... Well, for one thing, you've never been photographed.
I do not like to be photographed, Mr. Lime.
Well, that's okay with me, Mr. Arkadin.
I think you are starting to make fun of me.
No, I'm waiting for you to start making some sense, Mr. Arkadin.
You are a crook, Mr. Lime, but I see you are a tough crook, not a little sneak thief. Tell me, did you ever hear of something called an intelligence check?
Intelligence check? Yes, I think so. Doesn't that mean some sort of check by an intelligence service in the army or something on a man's past? Isn't that what it is?
Some sort of. No, it's not some sort of checkup. It is, as you would say, the full treatment, the works.
Yes.
They are very thorough, these army people from the intelligence service. They turn up the carpets, they look under the wallpaper.
Which army is this, Mr. Arkadin?
Your army, of course. Who else is planning those air bases in Portugal?
Oh, really? Oh, man, I wouldn't know.
It's an allied operation, but the U.S. Army must approve all contracts. And I understand, Mr. Lime, that all bids are examined not only on their own merits, but also on the merits of a man's record in the past. This is their famous intelligence check.
Okay. Now you're beginning to make a little sense. You want the contract for building these bases, and you're afraid of an investigation, so you want to hire me to help you cover up a few items that might not show up so nicely on your private file.
Are you telling me or asking me, Mr. Lime?
I'm guessing.
Well, guess again.
No, let's play something else. How about Pachisi or Lotto?
I am not playing games, Lime. I am hiring you for a job of work.
A minute ago, Arkadin, you called me a crook. It's a cinch you've got a touch of larceny on the brain, or you wouldn't have called me in. What's the offer?
$10,000.
Tax-free, old man?
You can have it in gold, in Liechtenstein.
Well, that's a nice offer, Arkadin. I have to know who it is you want killed before I give you my final reply.
You are to kill nobody. You are to cover up nothing. You are to perform no illegal acts whatever. No, Mr. Lime. I am not hiring your so easily adjustable conscience. I am buying you a knowledge of the continental underworld. And that is all. I want you to make an investigation and prepare me a report.
What do you want to know about?
I want to know about me.
You?
Yes. It is on the subject of me I want you to make that report, Mr. Lime. I want you to investigate me.
Well, okay, Mr. Cotton, but just what is it you're afraid they'll find out?
I swear, Mr. Lime, I wish I knew.
Well, there must be something. You wouldn't be so worried, and I guess you figure if I can't smoke it out, the FBI isn't likely to either, but still,
Let me tell you a poetic little story.
Okay, old man, if you insist.
It is the winter of 27.
No, really?
I'm a young man, and the city is Lucerne in Switzerland. I have only the suit I was wearing and a wallet with 200,000 francs. Swiss francs. It was with that money that my present great fortune was built.
Oh, yes. Well,
the stages, Mr. Lime, the stages by which I erected myself into the position of one of the richest men in the world may be traced. They call me a man of mystery in the newspapers, but really all of that story can be pieced together and checked.
Yes, I'm sure, but...
Mr. Lime, what happened before the winter of 27?
Well, that's for you to say.
Where did I come from in my one suit? Who was my family? That's my real secret, Mr. Lime. I don't know who I am.
So that was my assignment. Tell Mr. Arkadin who he was. Yes, old Doc Harry Lyme was supposed to cure a slight case of amnesia, which had only been pestering the patient for the last 20 years. Right away, I could see that this little caper wasn't going to be any kind of a cinch. Well, there was plenty of cash, unlimited traveling expenses and all that. But as far as a cue or a clue to the facts about his own distant, mysterious past, Gregory Arkadin was just about as helpful and as chatty as a clam. Now, look, Mr. Arkadin.
Arkadin.
Okay, Arkadin. Pronounce your name any way I do, but... Hey, wait a minute. How do you know it's Arkadin?
I know my own name.
Who says so?
I say so.
And who are you?
That's what I am paying you to find out, Mr. Lyme.
Exactly. So what makes you so sure about your name? Maybe it's really the name of a town or a candy bar you happen to be eating. Maybe it's the name of the man you murdered.
You think that's how I got the money, Mr. Lyme? By committing a murder?
Mr. Arkadin, I don't know how you began, but I know the best way to begin finding out.
How's that?
Isn't it obvious, old man? By assuming the worst.
Antibes, Monsieur Gregory Arkadin demande Monsieur Lyme, Monsieur Harry Lyme, à Zurich.
Mr. Lyme?
Yes?
Well, Mr. Lyme, what have you found out?
Hello, Arkadin. How did you find out I was in Zurich?
I have an office in Zurich. Well?
Well, what?
You heard me. What have you found out? Who was I? Where did I come from? What,
You came from Warsaw. Warsaw.
What's that?
Well, I said you came from Warsaw. That's in 27. I'm not sure where you came from originally, but your tailor thinks that...
what?
Your tailor, the one who made your clothes when you first came to Zurich.
He's dead.
The one who owned the shop, not the cutter. You probably never noticed him, but he remembers you. And what's more, he remembers the label in the first coat you were wearing.
What label? What did it say?
Yeah, well, he doesn't know. All he remembers is that the coat was made in Warsaw.
That
the coat
isn't much?
was made in... No, it's not much, but it's something.
Well, what are you going to do now? You can't get a visa for Poland?
No, but an awful lot of Poles left home since 27.
You mean refugees?
Oh, that's right.
But they went everywhere, all over the place.
That's right.
Well, where are you going now?
Well, I'm going to look up a few Poles.
But where?
Just where you said, Mr. Arkadin. Everywhere. All over the place.
Harry Lyme returns in just a moment.
April 11th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lyme on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Hi, this is Kyle Horvath with the White Pine County Tourism and Recreation Board. If you want to get away from the big cities and get back to nature this summer, give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net. There's so much to do and see, I can't mention it in 30 seconds, but check out our website and you'll see what Nevada is really all about. elinevada.net or follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Give us a call at 775-289-3720 or visit us online at elinevada.net.
It's a big, bold story set in the heartland of America, along the edge of Lonely Mountain. I am open for business. And so Big William Gorgon, played by handsome Michael James, fiercely set down his Midwest roots.
Oh, darling, we're going to sell bathrobes and raise chickens.
Set his adoring wife, Wilhelmina, portrayed by beautiful Glenda Olsen.
Oh, I love our store, Will.
But they hadn't counted on Big Ralph's bathrobes and cattle store coming to town.
Oh, Will, what will we do, Will?
Will had a plan, a way of facing off against tough Big Ralph. We're going to change the face of America. We're going to advertise.
For what?
With print, broadcasting, and bus benches, we're going to tell people who we are and where we are.
What's a bus?
And so the story of how one man brought advertising to the heartland.
Oh, will it work?
It will. Well, my name ain't Will, Wilhelmina. You got to advertise or we'll die. And so the greatest marketing story of all time is here. Advertise or die, dopey.
Put your message on this national advertising platform. Email classicradiotheater@gmail.com. classicradiotheater@gmail.com. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of The Lives of Harry Lyme, starring Orson Welles, April 11th, 1952.
And now here I am in Paris, in Maxine's. Now, I'll spare you all the sordid details. What matters now is that my dinner companion is a vendeuse at a couturier's, which means her profession is helping Jacques sell all those dresses of his. She is Polish, this dinner companion of mine, a refugee. And this is partly because I am closing in on that section of the population, and she is also a very classy dish, indeed. That section I'm closing in on. The name is Baroness Nagel, and by this time we're leaning across the empty coffee cups, making eyes at each other.
I'm enjoying myself, you know. I didn't think I would.
Go ahead. Enjoy yourself all you want to. I'm on an expense account. Do you mind if I ask you a rather personal question,
No,
Baroness?
I don't think so.
I'd like you to tell me something about the criminal underworld of Warsaw.
For a couple of years, Mr. Lime, and only because my family needed the money very much. I was attached to the water police. I think I was helpful.
Imagine.
But the truth is, I was only used on one case as a sort of wooden duck. How you call it, a decoy. There were several of us, all working to break up the gang of a certain criminal called Sophie.
Sophie, huh?
It was all frightfully sordid.
Oh, yes,
One isn't a brute, but still one was glad actually to be useful in breaking it up. It was a pity the leader was never caught.
So the leader, Sophie, never got away. What was her full name, Sophie?
Does it really matter?
Well, it might, yes, quite a lot.
She's been married since.
Well, do you know the man's name?
I will look it up for you. Apparently she's very respectable now and has nothing to fear.
Well, I thought they were very strict about people with criminal records in Argentina.
Oh, yes, not Argentina.
No?
And, not Brazil, Mr. Lime.
No?
And do not imagine you can trap me so easily.
You know what? I'll bet you a couple of $100 I can trap you, Baroness.
Let's make it 500. That's more sporting.
500. Well, 300. That's sporting enough. I'll write the address of this lady, Sophie, on the back of this menu, and you write your version of it on yours.
Okay.
Well, I've written my guess. Smith. I don't suppose it's right. Let's see how I did. Smith. Well, show me what you wrote.
I would like to see, first of all, the stakes.
All right. 1, 2, 303. And now let's see what you wrote, Thanks. Signora Carlo Martinez, 77th Avenida Libertad, Havana, Cuba. Well, you win, Baroness. I did come within a mile of it. The next day, I was on my way to Cuba. And a little time after that, I was in my room in the hotel in Havana. It was after midnight. Yes?
Just a minute. Hold on. Mr. Arkadin calling.
Okay. Hello?
How are you coming,
Oh,
Lloyd?
fine. I couldn't be better, Mr. Arkadin. Got the goods on you.
What?
Well, the dirt, all of it. That's what you wanted, wasn't it?
How you mean dirt?
Well, I know all about before 27.
What?
Before 1927. I know what you were up to in Warsaw.
Warsaw? Can you prove it?
Sure.
What's your room number?
Maybe you didn't understand. I'm in Havana.
So am I.
I said Havana.
I heard you. What's your number?
208.
I'll be right down.
Hello, line.
Well, Mr. Arkadin, this is a coincidence. What are you doing in Havana, Mr. Arkadin?
I had some business to attend to. What's your news?
I was just writing out a full report, but if you like, I can boil it down to the essentials.
Boil it down.
Sophie Wyszynski is living. She's married bigamously, and her real husband, the character known as Oscar, is blackmailing her.
What of
And
it?
Oscar's a hophead. He takes heroin in large doses.
What's that got to
Well,
do
I
with
managed
me?
to lock Oscar away for a few days in a shack outside of town. I didn't give him any junk, and after a while he started talking. He talked quite a lot, Mr. Arkadin. It's all going down in the report.
Never mind the report. What did he say?
Well, okay, I'll give it to you. What you're asking. There were 7 members operating in the gang headed in Warsaw by Sophie Wyszynski. 3 of them are dead. 2, Andre Bloch and Jacob Heschelies, are behind the Iron Curtain. Oscar, I've told you about. Well, that leaves 1 more. His name was Akim Athabadze. And in 1927, Athabadze absconded with some of the loot of the gang. The gang never found him, but I have another source, and I'll tell you about that later. But I managed to trace Mr. Athabadze to Zurich, where he changed his name. Does that mean anything to you?
Why should it?
Well, supposing I should tell you that the name he took was Arkadin. Gregory Arkadin.
You'd have to prove it.
I can.
You're positive?
Positive.
You spoke of sources. Who are they?
Well, it's very involved, Mr. Arkadin. I'm tired. I'd rather put the whole thing down in an orderly way in my report.
And when will that be?
Well, I'm leaving Cuba tomorrow, and then I'll have all the facts assembled in Paris, and I'll put it down by the end of the week and give it to you.
I see. I hope you're mistaken, Mr. Lime. It would be a terrible thing if what you tell me is true.
I'm not mistaken.
Well, whatever happens, say nothing of this to my daughter. Absolutely nothing. Do I have your word on that?
Of course.
I wonder if you could possibly guess what an awful thing it is. To have only a conscience. A conscience. And no memory at all.
2 days later, I was in France. Raina phoned me at my hotel, and I took her to dinner. She tried to draw me out, but I wasn't having any of that. I'd given Arkadin a promise, and no matter what he'd been or what I was, that was one promise that was going to be kept.
I wish you weren't so mysterious about everything, Harry. You see, I know about the airports. There's to be 3 of them in Portugal. It means a great deal of money for whoever gets the contract.
Yes, that's where the intelligence check business comes. You know, I don't even think he knows what an intelligence check is.
The conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime starring Orson Welles from April 11th, 1952, along with another Yours Truly Johnny Dollar episode, comes up following these words on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
America's founders knew power corrupts, and ultimate power corrupts ultimately, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. That's why they built in checks and balances to prevent any one group from seizing all power.
And that's why our president is elected by a college of electors to protect the rights of little states like Delaware and Wyoming against giants like New York and California. After all, our country is a republic, the United States of America, not the United State. Our states are independent sovereign powers who created the federal government, not the other way around.
And that's why all power ultimately lies in we the people and the states, not a central dictatorship of cronies. Did you know that? Thank God for the U.S. Constitution.
Find out more how our amazing Constitution and Bill of Rights protect us, the citizens, against power-crazed politicians in Washington. Help us take back America. Go to ouramericanrights.com. Brought to you by the American Media Council.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime, starring Orson Welles, April 11th, 1952.
He's heard people talking about it, you know, army people and others, Americans, and it worries him. Remember, he's a Russian, and that means he grew up with an almost superstitious fear of all secret police.
Just a second. How do you know he's Russian?
Well, I am his daughter.
Yes, but he doesn't know himself where he was born. What are you laughing at?
Is that what he told you, that he didn't know where he was born?
You mean he was lying?
Oh, he can't help it, Harry. He lies to everybody. It's his nature.
Oh, well, what about this amnesia?
What amnesia?
Well, in 1927, your father found himself in Zurich with his pockets full of money and no memory at all. He didn't know where he came from or who he was or where he got the money. Now, oh, wait a minute. You mean the The whole thing was a lie?
I never heard of amnesia lasting that long. More than 20 years. Except in cheap books and bad movies. Oh, Harry, you should have known better than to believe that one.
So he'd been lying. Lying all the time. He knew his past. As well as I knew my own. Well, just as I was absorbing that, the news came from Cuba. A friend in Havana sent it to me, a clipping from one of the newspapers. Said he thought I'd be interested. Well, I was. It seems that Signor Oskar Trebich and Signora Martini, formerly Sophie Waszczycki of Poland, had been found together in a ditch in a suburb of Havana. Both were dead. They had been strangled. Yeah?
We've managed to trace Mr. Arkadin for you, Mr. Laird.
Good.
At the airport.
Is it the airport?
Just a minute, I'll put him through.
Thank you. Hello? Hello?
Hello, Lime.
Yes, Harry Lime speaking.
Make it quick, Lime. Traffic's just cleared me. I'm flying my own plane, and if I don't take off right away, I won't get into Paris before dark. What do you want?
Well, they found Sophie and Oscar.
What's that?
Oscar, Mr. Arkadin. Oscar and Sophie. Remember Sophie? She used to be your girlfriend back in Warsaw when you were working for her as a white slaver and dope smuggler. Oscar was her husband. They were found dead in a ditch, Mr. Arkadin. In a ditch near Havana. They'd been strangled.
What about it?
Well, I know why you did it. You...
Lime, listen to me. I'm paying you money. Big money. I'll even raise the sum. I'll see you in Paris.
No, I'd rather not see you, Mr. Arkadin. I'd rather not be strangled and left in a ditch.
Well, then, what do you propose?
Well, I propose to tell your story, Mr. Arkadin. The whole story. Remember, I have the proof.
We'll see about your proofs. I'm an important man, Lime. Not a little crook like you. Nobody'll believe you.
Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Arkadin. I'm really very sorry. But I've already found somebody who does believe me.
Who? Who believes you? Nobody that matters. You forget who I am.
Well, you're the father of Raina, Mr. Arkadin. I told you I was sorry, but I had to save my life.
You mean you told Raina?
Yes, Mr. Arkadin.
And she believed you?
Everything. Everything except the murder of Sophie and Oscar. She thinks it may not have been you who did that, and of course I can't prove that it was, but if I should be killed now, Mr. Arkadin, that would be proof enough, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it, Mr. Arkadin? So, that's how the plane happened to be empty. Arkadin must have set the controls before he jumped out. But why? Why did he jump instead of crashing? I think because he wanted Raina to know it wasn't accidental. Because he wanted her to realize that rather than face her, knowing she knew about him, he preferred to die. But of course, that's only a theory. There wasn't any note in the plane, just the portfolio, the famous dispatch case he always traveled with, filled with all the great affairs of the world. Now we can only guess. Gregory Arkadin remained, even to the last, a man of mystery.
April 11th, 1952, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's MediShare. Maybe you've heard switching to MediShare to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
You know how every house has peculiar odors in it, whether it's cigarette smoke or whether it's fish you fried in the kitchen or just about anything? You can clean everything in the house, but you can't clean the air unless you get an Eden Pure Thunderstorm air purifier. Now, these are really neat things. They plug into the wall and stay there. The entire unit plugs into the wall. You don't have to take up any counter space, no filters to replace, and they work fast, and they're quiet. There's one right next to me here in the studio. Yeah, they've already sold over 200,000 of them, and you can get the best deal of all. You can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack, 3 units, one for every stinky room in the house, and save a lot of money. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, put in my promo code CLASSIC3, and you'll save $200. EdenPureDeals.com, CLASSIC3 is the promo code. Shipping is free. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 3 of the 5-part yours truly Johnny Dollar story, The Laird Douglas of Heatherscote Matter. This was originally broadcast April 11th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Lieutenant Steve Howard, homicide. I found word to call you there at your hotel.
Right. I'm an insurance investigator, Lieutenant, and...
Yeah, I've heard of you. Can I help you?
Well, I understand you're the man who handled a murder case at the Bala Kinwood Dog Show last year.
That's right. We're still working on it.
Oh, fine. Like to look over the setup for an attempted murder?
Oh? Who?
Me.
Stay right there, Mr.
Dollar. Tonight, and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Philadelphia Mutual Liability and Casualty Company. Following is an accounting of expenditures incurred during my investigation of the Laird Douglas of Heatherscote matter. And at this point, that name is no joke. Expense account item 3, 70 cents cab fare from the office of Harry Branson to my hotel. It was at Harry's office that I got the craziest assignment I'd ever taken. Bodyguard to Laird Douglas of Heatherscote, who turned out to be a dog. And I mean that literally. A purebred Scottish terrier who rated high enough in dogdom for somebody to make a couple of attempts on his life. Right now, it looked like somebody wanted me to be next.
What's all this talk about an attempt on your life?
Here, Lieutenant. Take a look at this handbag of mine.
Huh?
Wait, don't touch it.
Huh?
I left it here on this little luggage stand about an hour ago, right after I checked in. Only before I left it, I opened it and took out my gun.
So?
So when I got back, just before I called you, I found the bag as you see it now, locked again.
Oh, now look here, Mr.
Yeah,
Knowles.
I know. But if a chambermaid had been in here, there would have been other signs. You know, bed turned down, fresh towels in the bath, things like that.
Boy, you're a suspicious man. You sure you didn't lock it yourself after taking your gun
I'm
out?
sure. Anyhow, instead of opening it, I started to pick it up to put it on the bed to unpack. Here now, you lift it.
Why?
Because it weighs close to 25 pounds, and that's too much for nothing but an extra suit, a few shirts and shorts, some handkerchiefs and the like.
You check with the desk?
No callers that they know about.
Well, let me see. Yeah, that is pretty heavy.
And it doesn't tick. Now, look here.
Yeah?
You see where somebody on the fire escape used a pry bar to shove this window open?
Well, yeah. Yeah, those marks are fresh. Very fresh. Operator, get me Central Police.
Expense account item 4. Check for $29.50 to the nearest Bond clothing store for one pair of trousers to replace those torn by Laird Douglas of what's his name, when I'd first met him in Harry's office. Item 5, phone call to Mrs. Peter Malcolm Kelly Van Pyton.
Well, don't you worry, Mr. Dollar. If you're delayed, you're delayed, and we'll just expect you here at the Maples when you get here. Your suite is all ready and waiting for you.
I'll be there as soon as I can.
Oh, I do hope you've had a suit made to replace those trousers little Laird Douglas tore. Why don't you have a couple of suits made and just charge them to me?
Thanks. Maybe I'll get around to that. Goodbye, Mrs. Van Pyton. First of all, I had to know what Lieutenant Howard found out about the suitcase he'd had his lab crew pick up. I took a taxi to headquarters. That's item 8, 65 cents.
Why, glad to see you, Dollar. Sit down.
Well, what'd you find out?
Dollar, that bag of yours had enough soup in it to blow out half the side of your hotel.
And I was right.
Yeah, professional job, too. Straight wire rig that would have gone off when you opened the bag.
Brother, I guess my lucky star is in the ascendant.
What made you suspect a booby trap, Dollar?
Last year and a few days ago, somebody tried to poison a dog.
Well do I know.
Laird Douglas of Heatherscote, Blue Ribbon Scotty, belonging to Mrs. Peter Malcolm
Kelly Van Pyton, yeah.
Right.
Apparently, the whole reason for it was to keep the pooch from winning the best of show at the annual dog festival, or whatever you want to call it, out at Ballackinwood.
So I've heard.
I think it was more than that.
Oh, wait a minute. Now, don't tell me you subscribe to the idea that if the dog were to die, Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton would probably kick off, too.
No question about it.
Okay.
Well, you don't know her yet, or you wouldn't be so skeptical. Her whole life revolves about that dog. And her money, of course.
From what I've seen, she just throws that away.
Of course she does. At least in small quantities. You know, 1,000 or 2 here or there, or even 100,000 to some school or library or something where it'll show. But even that's only a drop in the bucket to her.
Lieutenant, I don't quite see what you're driving at.
Well, she is one of the remnants of a class in this country, fast dying out, thank goodness, that for generations has been cultured and conditioned into thinking that money is everything, that their whole destiny is to control vast industries, lands, railroads, oil, shipping, and people. People, Dollar, by means of their sheer financial prowess.
But I thought our present tax situation...
sure, their day is almost done, but the few who are still around, like Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton, are hanging on for dear life, trying to add to their power.
Hey, Steve, you make a sweet, gabby, eccentric old lady sound like an ogre.
She is, no question. I'm sure she doesn't realize it.
Simply because this whole attitude has been so thoroughly ingrained into her all her life?
That's right.
Oh, well, we'll see.
Yeah, you'll see.
Well, look, let's get to the point. Who do you think might be trying to get rid of the old lady?
I haven't the least idea.
Well, no family, relatives?
Only living relative is her nephew, Warren Staley.
Ah.
Nothing.
You sure?
Haven't been able to pin a thing on him.
Where can I find this Warren Staley?
At the Maples.
He lives there with her, huh?
Yep.
And you're sure he would be her only beneficiary?
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Good luck, Dollar.
Lieutenant Howard seemed to know what he was talking about. Nonetheless, I decided that the nephew, Warren Staley, would at least be a start. And the sooner I could move in at the Maples, the better. Item 9, 780 cab fares back to my hotel and out to the Maples in the suburb of Germantown. When I first saw the place, I could hardly believe my eyes. It looked like a regular castle perched atop a small hill. Even the gatehouse, nearly half a mile from the mansion, was big enough to house several families. But the mansion itself, wow. A rather stuffy-looking butler, after practically climbing up my family tree, escorted me to the reading room. Mrs. Kelly Van Pyton, and guess who? Whoops! Oh, easy now, Doug.
Oh, Mr. Dollar, I'm so glad you're here. And look, he remembers you.
Yeah.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, it is. Attaboy, Doug. Easy
Oh,
now.
and please call him Douglas.
Huh?
After all, the name Doug sounds so common, doesn't it?
Oh, you really think he cares, Mrs. Van Pyton?
Oh, you're joking, aren't you?
Yeah.
Mr. Branson said you had quite a sense of humor.
dumb boy.
Now, did Hastings show you to your suite?
The butler? No, but he took my things.
Then I'll show you. I'm sure you'll love it and be quite comfortable. This way, please.
Yes. You coming, Douglas? Yeah. Attaboy.
Do you see how happy he is having you here? I am too, Mr. Dollar. Now we just... Oh, Warren, darling.
Huh?
Hello, Tanta.
Mr. Dollar, this is my little nevy, Warren Staley.
Warren was 25 or so, bright, good-looking, and well but comfortably dressed. And at Mrs. Van Pyton's orders, he took me up to my suite. Living room, study, breakfast room, bath, and bedroom. And it's still occupied only a small part of the second floor.
Now, here next to you are Dougie's rooms.
Wow.
One for sleeping and one for eating. Can you tie that? The dining room for a dog. And through that door lives Mademoiselle Poirot, his governess. She feeds and bathes them.
And that's a full-time job?
Oh, sure. Most pampered dog in the country.
Brother, I'll go with you on that.
No doubt Tonto will ask you to keep this connecting door open at night.
Hey, sit down a minute, Warren. I'd like to talk to you.
Sure. I hope you're impressed by all this.
Are you kidding?
And Tonto will love you dearly. Say, would you like a drink? There's a cellarette here for your convenience.
Holy. Sure. Scotch and soda.
Good. Rather foolish, though, isn't it? All of it?
What do you mean?
Oh, it's such nonsense to keep up an estate like this just to keep face, so to speak.
Well, she can afford it, can't she?
Are you kidding?
You sound as though you don't enjoy this life of luxury.
Yeah, here's your drink. Enforced luxury to keep up the honor of the family. And I resent it.
Oh?
Without ever having to lift a finger, do an honest day's work. When she's gone, I'll be one of the wealthiest men in the country.
That's bad, huh?
Do you think it's strange that a fellow would like to stand on his own feet for a change, make something of himself, by himself?
Well, why not just pack up and leave?
You don't know Tonto.
No, I guess I don't.
Oh, it's really more than that. I'm the only member of this family left, aside from Tonto.
So I understand.
I'm the only one left to carry on the Van Pyten empire. Drink up.
Wait a minute. Branson used that term, too.
Yes, empire. Not only enough security to sink a battleship, but controlling rights in steel, utilities, and most important of all, Eastmoreland oil.
I see.
And what's most important about that is that I'll survive to keep control of Eastmoreland from Kenworthy.
Harrison R. Kenworthy.
Yeah? There's been a battle over Eastmoreland oil for generations between the Van Pytens and the Kenworthys.
Say, tell me, does Kenworthy have any heirs?
One, his son, Ronald.
I see. What sort of a fellow was he?
Good friend of mine. We waste a lot of our time together. Oh, drink up, Mr. Dollar. I'm ready for another, and you haven't even touched yours.
Yeah, well, listen. I'm going to lay some cards on the table.
Shoot.
Somebody's been trying to get at Laird Douglas, the dog, presumably as a way of getting at your aunt.
It's true. If anything would have happened to little Dougie...
Okay. I'll take your word for it. Now, because of the intense rivalry between your aunt and Kenworthy, or rather between Laird Douglas and his pup, Lady O'Diddy's Mimi, or whatever her name is. Anyway, Kenworthy should be number one suspect.
When you know him, you'll cross him off your list.
So Lieutenant Howard has told me.
But, go on.
All right. As sole beneficiary of the Van Pyten Empire, as you call it, you come in as fast number 2 on the list.
I can understand that.
But unless everything you've told me is a fancy fairy tale to throw me off, then...
Everything I've told you is true, Mr. Dollar.
Hey, what's the matter with you?
Nothing. Go on.
Okay. And mind you, Warren, I'm not forgetting for a minute that there's been a couple of murders involved in this whole screwy business, plus an attempt on my own life.
Attempt on your... Dollar?
Hey, what gives you... Are you plastered on a little over one drink?
No, listen to me. I know. Now I know, and I can tell you, Dollar.
Tell me what?
The answer. The whole thing. Dollar.
Warren, what's the matter with you?
I can't breathe.
Hey, Warren.
Drink. Meant for you. Don't touch...
He died without another sound. I carefully sniffed the drink that had been poured for me, gingerly tasted it. Nothing that I could spot. Yeah, poor Warren had probably been right. Whatever it was had no doubt been meant for me.
Now, here's our star to tell you about tomorrow's intriguing episode of this week's story.
Tomorrow, things and people finally begin to line up on the case. Just well enough for it to blow sky high. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. It is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone, who also wrote tonight's story. Be sure to join us tomorrow night, same time and station, for the next exciting episode of Yours Truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
From April 11th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. If you enjoy Johnny Dollar, you can find all of the shows through my friend Ted at RadioMemories.com. He has the shows available on cassette, compact disc, or flash drive for your computer. Just contact Ted at RadioMemories.com. That's RadioMemories.com. And my friends, remember, if you miss a day on this station, you don't have to miss a single show. You can hear our shows anywhere. iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon, or even on Facebook. Just search for Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. That's Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. You can also find them on my webpage, which is classicradio.stream. That is classicradio.stream, where not only can you stream our shows on demand, you can learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can also contact me there, and all of our social media links are there as well. classicradio.stream. And please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that we're here on this radio station each and every time we roll around. And tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial, why don't you? Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite radio station.